There are only few airlines with an history as turbulent as that of Alitalia, and while the future seems to end up in yet another restructuring of the company and relaunch by mid-October of this year, I thought, why not take a look back into the history of the airline and at this little chapter. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Embraer ERJ-170 of Alitalia. At the front of the box we have a lovely image of the aircraft in real life, and underneath that we find the iconic Alitalia branding. Then on the back side of the box we have the same image once more, and we are given the original dimensions of the aircraft as well as some additional information. So that's it for the box. Let's take a closer look inside and at the aircraft model itself. And here she is, the Embraer ERJ-170 in a former standard livery of Alitalia, but operated under the Alitalia Express branding. Now, behind the Alitalia or Alitalia Express branding was a company known as C.A.I. first. This was an Italian airline that was operating flights for its parent company Alitalia, and this was done to preserve slots at Milan Linate Airport. The reason behind that elaborate construct was the merger between Alitalia and Air One, and so the name C.A.I. first was only a legal name and was never used in public. All flights were branded as Alitalia, and the airline was ultimately dissolved and merged into Alitalia Mainline by February 2015. Now with that, let us start our tour around the aircraft model and take a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer find the iconic Alitalia branding. On top of that we have the last two letters of the registration code. The full registration code we then find on the fuselage, and towards the very tail of the aircraft we have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage we then have the writing of Alitalia Express. We find the flag of the European Union and the SkyTeam logo. Also here on the side of the fuselage we find two more small details. One I do believe is the Embraer branding, and underneath the green sheet line I do think we have the name of the aircraft written on. The cockpit section itself, well, it doesn't offer us that much other than the cockpit windows, and above those we find the last two letters of the registration code. A personal highlight for me, however, is the blacked out nose cone, of course something we don't really see anymore these days. The engine nacelles have been kept in all white, just as most of the fuselage, but do carry the Alitalia or Alitalia Express branding and have the silver leading edge printed on. But that's all when it comes to printed details. The physical detailing itself, I think it's okay. I mean, it's not a new release from Herpa Wings, and for that I think it's pretty decent. Also, when we look into the engines from the front, we can very nicely see the engine fan blades. From there we can then move on to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at. Starting off with the top side, where we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers have been carved out very nicely, but we don't really have any other printed details here. The underside of the wings I think look pretty decent as well. Here we also have the full registration code of the aircraft once again, but my highlight here on the wings are the winglets, which look really awesome with the Alitalia branding printed on. Also, when we look at the landing gear, I think Herpa has overall done a pretty decent job with it. I think this looks very much acceptable. The only thing I'm really missing here are some printed details at the front landing gear, but of course even today we don't get that with Herpa Wings as a standard. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Embraer ERJ-170 in a former standard livery of Alitalia Express from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? The physical detailing of the model I think is actually pretty good. The print quality is also good, but of course it doesn't have a plethora of details. However, it does come with the details that you could expect from a Herpa Wings model from 2007. On a personal note, I also think that the Alitalia livery looks absolutely gorgeous on the Embraer 170, and I think Herpa has chosen well in actually creating this aircraft model. But are there alternatives? Well, for the Embraer ERJ-170, no, this is the only choice you have in scale 500. But if you are on the lookout for other Alitalia Express aircraft models, then you are in luck, because JetX actually has created two Embraer 145 models also in 2007. So if you can find those, then you could actually create a halfway decent Alitalia Express fleet. But to come back to the model at hand, yes, it will not go down in history as the most detailed model or the most sophisticated, but what it does well, and therefore I would say yes, it is worth having in one's collection. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, that would be very much appreciated, and of course if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe, that would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.